Hello everyone, Small Mage here. In a past split, I had successfully become the highest ranked Veigar player in North American server. Not many people can make Veigar work consistently in high elo, so after hundreds of games with proven success, I decided to start my channel to help out the Veigar community. I was nowhere near Challenger in previous seasons. I played Draven and Riven in Season 5, Tryndamere and Jax in Season 8, and with other great games kept coming out, I spent more time playing Overwatch, PUBG, CSGO, etc. Just a few months ago, I decided to start playing Veigar seriously in my ranked games, and to my own surprise, this underrated champion carried me to my dream rank when nothing else could. When I first started, I was struggling to find good educational content and had to learn everything through trial and error. So I'd like to share the exact strategies that worked for me so you don't have to go through the same. No matter what rank you are, my proven approach will help you climb. This isn't about flashy plays or lucky streaks. It's about mastering a system that works consistently at all levels of play. Veigar is mechanically straightforward. His micro gameplay is far simpler than most other mages. This makes him a low ceiling but high floor champion, allowing players to focus less on execution and more on strategy. However, this simplicity is a double-edged sword. Since Veigar lacks mechanical outplay potential, positioning and foresight become critical. The key is to avoid situations where opponents can exploit their mechanical advantage. This is where Veigar's cage shines. It works very differently than any other CC abilities in League of Legends. It's stable, it covers a huge area, it's decent in its range, it stays even if you don't land it at first. Once enemy is caged, flash is often the only counterplay. Without flash up, enemies are either stunned or they have to stay in it for the full 3-second duration. But crowd control alone isn't enough. He needs the damage to capitalize on it. Your cage is far less impactful if there's no damage follow-up. Luckily, Veigar's passive grants him infinite AP scaling, which makes our goal simple. Stack enough AP to one-shot anyone who's caged. As a mid laner, players often struggle with decision making. There are too many options, and it's easy to default to habits rather than adapt to each situation. Fortunately, Veigar's game plan is simple. Scale through passive stacks and take over the game with items. As long as you are stacking efficiently, you are never too far from the optimal play. Since no one else scales you, your default priority should be farm safely in lane, maintain vision control, and avoid high-risk plays. A critical mistake many Veigar players make is underestimating how dangerous ganking side lanes truly is. I almost never do it, and neither should you. Veigar's immobility means every attempted roam is a high-risk, low-reward gamble. Not only does it take you an eternity to shuffle your way bot or top, sacrificing waves, tower plates, and precious stacking time, but you are also a sitting duck if the enemy jungler finds you along the way. Without mobility or escapes, getting caught out means certain death. Even if you do end up making your way there, the enemy bot lane could have flashes up, which makes your gank a complete waste of time. So don't sacrifice your stacks, your gold, and your EXP for something like this. That said, there are two situations where I will immediately leave my lane without hesitation. The first situation is when your jungler gets invaded on your side of the jungle. Always move as fast as possible. Your goal is to create a 2 versus 1 situation, either killing the invader or forcing them to back off. Even if the fight doesn't go perfectly, never leave your jungler to fend for themselves. A behind laner is manageable. A behind jungler means losing map control and objectives. Trust me, you do not want that. The second situation is when both teams are contesting for an objective: Dragon, Herald, or Grubs. Some players think Veigar is useless early and skip fights, but that's a mistake. Always join even number fights, post level 6 specifically. Here's why. Your cage becomes exponentially stronger in confined spaces, zoning multiple enemies at once. Your ultimate guarantees easy, low-risk kills without the need to overcommit. Even if you lose the objective, picking up a kill or two puts you closer to your scaling spike. Objectives become less important than getting yourself the much-needed core items. Once you've hit your Sorkshoes and 3-item power spike, every teamfight becomes your moment to dominate. Your gameplay loop is brutally simple. Position yourself safely behind your front line. Watch for enemy clumping or missed positions, then drop your cage and press Q and W on cooldown, and then ultimate to secure higher priority kills. The simplicity of this approach is Veigar's greatest strength. While other champions worry about landing their abilities, you're free to focus entirely on spacing. Another very important tip for you is during the loading screen, you should mentally catalog every crowd control ability that could get you killed. For example, an Orianna's Shockwave, Kiana's Ultimate, Fiddlestick's Ultimate, Morgana's Q, Jarvan's ult if you don't have flash, etc. etc. This helps you constantly make sure you're not overstepping into their range and getting caught off guard in the chaos of a teamfight. You should be constantly tracking these dangerous abilities for your defense purposes and the positioning of enemy high priority targets for offensive opportunities. The beauty of late game Veigar lies in this clarity of purpose. You are not scrambling to land skill shots. Your job is to cage, burst, repeat, while staying alive. When executed properly, where a single well-placed cage can decide entire game. Remember, your power does not come from mechanical outplays, but from relentless consistency and impeccable fight assessment. Rod of Ages into Deathcap into Void Staff is the standard build. If after Rod of Ages you only have 1100 gold or H50, build Void Staff first, then Deathcap. The difference is minor. Zhonya's or Banshees come as my 4th and 5th item. For boots, Sork shoes are almost always the go-to, with Swifties being the only other option. Build it when the enemy team is super projectile heavy and you need the extra movement speed to stay alive. Otherwise, stick to Sork shoes. For runes, you will run either Summon Airy or First Strike. First Strike is better when your opponent has a shorter range and has no kill pressure, like a Galio or a Talon. Make sure you track your First Strike cooldown and generate as much gold as possible in laning phase. If you're confident in your laning skills, First Strike has a higher potential. Otherwise, Summon Airy is more consistent because it gives you more damage. With Summon Airy, you have 2 sets for your secondary runes. Magical Footwear plus Cosmic Insight are best for standard mage matchups. They help you complete your items quicker with some nice cooldown reductions on your flash for better survivability. Bone Plating plus Overgrowth are better against more aggressive champions like Akshan or LeBlanc. For your shards, since Veigar stacks AP infinitely, other stats become more valuable. Attack speed is good against mages where you need to auto the wave to keep lane priority. Ability haste is better if you are bound to lose priority anyway, for example to an Akshan, or against bad wave clearers like a Kali. For your second role, always take movement speed. That plus 2% might seem small, but it's huge for Veigar. At level 1, it puts you at 347 move speed, meaning you are faster than almost every mid laner. Without boots, only 9 champions are faster than you. Master E, Alawi, Jax, Kha'Zix, Nasus, Olaf, Shyvana, Trundle, and Wudir. And guess what? All of them are melee champions, played in top, or jungle. So in mid lane, you are basically always faster than your opponent. This flips matchups. If you go from slower to faster than the enemy mid, your kiting, dodging, and positioning get way easier. This tiny stat turns you from the one getting kited to the one doing the spacing. Once you adapt to the correct playstyle, you will start noticing that many losses happen because your team, especially your jungler, plays too aggressively early, expecting you to contribute more than you realistically can. That's normal. They don't share the same level of information as you do, so don't expect him to know your game plan. Communication bridges that gap. A simple "can't fight early, need skill" or "play for bot or top, I'll farm" in chat shows you're playing to win. People should respect that. And if you really want to minimize early game chaos, duel with a jungler. This can dramatically stabilize your early game by turning those coin flip skirmishes into calculated scaling opportunities. Remember, you can't control your team, but you can control how you prepare for their actions. Finally, let me leave you with a Bruce Lee quote you've probably heard, but never applied like this. Be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. You play Veigar into Syndra, become Syndra. You play Veigar into Yone, become Yone. Become your enemy, meaning know their abilities, know their limits, absorb their pressure by knowing their potentials. Make them punch into water, not flash. Deny them leads and keep scaling. Eventually, you will grow from a tiny water drop to tsunami, drowning the entire enemy team with unfair damage. To wrap up for this video, if you love playing Veigar and want to hit Challenger with him, I've got your back. Follow what I've said in this video and you will see some real results. Because Veigar isn't about mechanics, he's all about macro. Know your win conditions and the wins will follow. This is my first ever video, so your feedback decides everything. I have thought of posting VOD reviews of my own games. You guys can also send me your games, and I can help you analyze what went right or wrong. Or some more in-depth tips on Veigar's micro, as well as difficult matchups. Thanks for watching. Follow for more Veigar videos. See you in the next one. Until then, keep stacking!
Yes!